Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on orders over $10. From April 2nd, 2021 through April 23rd, 2021, if you use this promo code, you will automatically be entered into a drawing to win a Strixhaven set booster box. Also, there is another way to enter where no purchase is necessary. See the link in the description below for full details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another episode of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch, and we have a lot to talk about today. Strixhaven previews have been coming out all week, and there are players that are going out picking up certain cards because of the previews they've been seeing. There's also a lot of other reasons cards are going up in value. When it comes to this week's threshold, I was able to lower it by $1. There's still too much in the marketplace to talk about everything, so $5 will be the threshold this week. Quickly before we get into it all though, just a fast reminder, if you go to FlipsideGaming.com, you can use that Heroes promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. Currently, you can pre-order an assortment of Strixhaven products, and they have a whole lot of other things on the website as well. Remember, if your order's over $100 or it consists only of singles, shipping is free in the United States, and whenever you use the promo code, it does support the channel, which is always appreciated, so thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start, as we usually do, with the standard legal spotlight, and we only have one card to discuss today. There are standard cards moving, not quite to that $5 threshold, but there's one that I needed to point out because we talked about it last week. That's Corval Faker's King. This is the copy from the list. It's going down 95.65 to 32.19 this week. This is just basically a correction from a really unusual spike last week. The card itself is still very good, though, of course. Pioneer, you'll find this in Jund sideboards. It's also a very popular commander and in the 99 of many builds. And that quickly brings us to the Pioneer Legal Spotlight. We got some cards going down in value, and then we'll look at some going up in value. First, we have Shivan Dragon. This is the copy from 5th edition, going down 521 to 1297 this week. This recently spiked, so you're just seeing some retraction here. Nothing out of the ordinary. This card does see a little commander play. There's actually another copy that's going up a little bit this week, which you're going to see in just a moment. Here's another price correction. It's Deathrite Shaman. This is from the Guilds of Ravnica Golgari Guild Kit. It goes down 863 this week to 1222. You might remember from last week, this is another card that had sort of an unnatural spike. It can see a tad bit of Pioneer play, but it is a highly played commander card, seeing more play now in Lathril Blade of the Elves. Also, it sees vintage play in Sultai Midrange and more. We should call this the price correction watch. Here's another one. Nykthos Shrine to Nyx. This is the copy from the list. It's going down 101.46 to 34.90. Again, it had a really unusual spike last week. This is another card, though, that does see Pioneer play in mono green midrange and more. Huge commander mana-based card, though, especially good in monocolor builds. There's a lot of good monocolor builds that came out of Keltime, things like Turgid God of Fright / Turgid's Lantern, Vorinclex Monstrous Raider, Orvar the Allform, Magda Brazen Outlaw, and more. Alright, time for some cards going up in value. Shivan Dragon, this is the copy from the Beatdown box set. A little bit dry online this week. It goes up 585 to 1099. Next we have Omniscience. This is the copy from Magic 2013. It goes up 585 to 2744. This can see Pioneer play in Lotus Combo sometimes. The changes in the Legacy meta, though, I do feel are really what's pushing this price point more than anything. Ever since that banned and restricted list update in February, we have seen a lot of players thinking about the future when Magic Fests finally do commence, whenever that will be. And many of them are picking up some of these key cards and decks that are performing well right now in Magic the Gathering Online. You're not just seeing that for Legacy, it's also happening for a lot of Modern cards too right now. When it comes to Legacy, a couple decks that play this are doing better in the new meta, Omnitel and Sneak and Show. This is also a great commander card too in a lot of decks, including Asika God of the Tree / the Prismatic Bridge. Next we have Blood Crypt. This is the original copy from Dissension. It goes up 657 to 39.75. Shocklands are always going to see play in Pioneer, Modern, and Commander. This increase I think is being driven the hardest by Modern though right now. Jund Death Shadow has been a very popular build on MTGO in the new Modern meta. This of course is part of that mana base. Purphoros God of the Forge, the Mystery Booster copy, drying up a little bit online this week. Other versions of this card are going up a little. This one's spiking, though. It goes up 724 to 27.99. Now, this is a fairly popular commander, and it's in a lot of popular builds there, like Krenko Mob Boss, for example. It has seen increased play recently in a new build, Asika God of the Tree, and it does have potential to get better when Strixhaven and Commander 2021 come out, because there is a pretty strong focus on creature tokens in those products, it looks like. Beyond all that, this was also featured in a Command Zone podcast gameplay video this week, which could have brought more attention to the card. It was in 2 different decks there. One was a Korvold Faker's King build. The other one was a Kineos and Tiro Meletus deck. Anointed Procession up 975 to 4879. This is a very popular card in Commander builds that create tokens. You'll find this in Alila, Artful Provocateur, and much more. Like I said a moment ago, there are a lot of Strixhaven and Commander 2021 preview cards so far that create tokens. Here's a few examples. They don't all share the color identity of white, but you can find pest tokens in black and green, elemental tokens in blue and red. Red also can create treasure tokens there. White-black has inkling tokens. White-red has spirit tokens. Even though we haven't seen a lot of the cards from Commander 2021 decks yet, stands to reason that some of this token theme from Strixhaven should carry over. Archangel Thune is next. This is from Magic 2014. It goes up 1171 to 3690. Heliod Company has been a high-performing deck in the new modern meta. This can show up in some variations of that build. It is also a very popular commander card in builds like Lisa Shroud of Dusk and much more. Remember too, there are life gain strategies in the Strixhaven previews we've been seeing. They seem strongest, however, in black and green. That is going to bring us to the Modern Legal Spotlight. Again, we have some cards going down in value and then some going up in value. We'll begin with Sliver Legion. Check this out. Future Sight is down 524 this week to 109.98. Time Spiral Remastered goes down $737 to $50. So obviously, ever since this reprint was announced, a lot of players thought this could be the time to build that Sliver deck in Commander I've always wanted. This can be a Commander there, or it can be part of the 99. However, the problem is the money you would save by picking up this card cheaper is going to be more than offset by the other spikes that occurred in Slivers because so many people had the same idea. Keep a close eye on the value of this card. Once the descent slows down, you might want to pick up a copy. Another card going down in value here, Liliana of the Veil, the copy from Ultimate Masters, which has been spiking pretty aggressively recently, normalizes down $12.39 this week to $101.99. Modern has been the big catalyst for this, like we have discussed over a number of weeks now. It's in Jund, Stoneblade builds, Rakdos midrange, and more. However, one deck where you don't really find this all that often is the Jund Death Shadow deck, and that does seem to be the Jund deck of choice right now, so this card might start to lose some momentum quickly. With that being said, though, it is getting some more legacy play as well, and it is a bigger commander card now because of the Turgid God of Fright builds. Coat of Arms. Now, this is the copy from the Premium Deck Series Slivers, which only comes in foil. It goes down $22.45 this week to $48.54. Many other copies of this card are going up this week, but this one did have kind of a quick spike last week, so it is normalizing right now. Later in the video, we'll talk about the copies that are increasing. With that, though, of course, this is a great tribal commander card. It does see more play now in new builds like Lathril Blade of the Elves and Koma Cosmos Serpent, for example. Obviously, it's another card you find many times in Sliver decks and Commander 2. And additionally, the previews from Strixhaven and Commander 2021 could be pushing this card a little bit too overall. Again, there's this token generation support in the set, and there's a lot of different creature types that are being created. Pests, spirits, elementals, and inklings, for example. Alright, let's look at some cards going up in value. We have Cavern of Souls, the Modern Masters 2017 copy, up $9.70 this week to $98.69. The Ultimate Masters copy goes up $18.23 to $98.67. In Modern, this is seeing a lot of play right now in this meta. Amulet Titan, Eldrazi Tron, Spirits, and more. Sees Legacy and Vintage play too. Plus, it's a huge commander card in a lot of different builds, including newer ones like Lathril Blade of the Elves. Of course, this is good in Sliver decks. And this is another card that showed up in that episode of the Command Zone podcast. It was in a Doran the Siege Tower deck on there. Hex Drinker, this is still going up, $19.09 this week to $45.50. Now, the catalyst for this spiking recently has been the new meta in Modern, and maybe to a lesser degree Legacy. It all started a few weeks ago when we saw a Modern Jund Death Shadow build that ran 4 copies of this in the main come in first place in the NRG series on MTGO. Beyond that, this can be found in other decks in that format too, like the Rock. In Legacy, many times this is in Abzan Reliquary, Temur Delver, and more. But the reason I think you're seeing another charge out of this card this week is again because of Strixhaven. Notice that this is creature type Snake. Here's a card that was previewed recently, Blex Vexing Pest, and on the other side is Search for Blex. This is a new lord, and as you can see from the text there, it does cover snakes. Maybe we'll start to see Hex Drinker show up more in Commander now too. Kozilek Butcher of Truth is back again. Ultimate Masters goes up $6.41 to $95.90. Rise of the Eldrazi up $20.56 to $117.86. In Legacy, this can be found many times in Mono Green Cloudpost. It gets a lot of commander play too in popular builds like Kozilek the Great Distortion and more. It's seeing more play now in Isika God of the Tree there. And like I mentioned last week, we have been seeing Strixhaven previews of some new colorless spells. Perhaps this is a trend that we'll see more colorless spells in upcoming sets. Phyrexian Arena. This card is really spiking this week. Huge commander card. It's in a ton of builds. It has seen increased play in Turgid God of Fright decks recently. If it is not reprinted in the Commander 2021 Black-Green deck that looks like it's going to focus on pests, this could be a fantastic upgrade for that deck. Additionally, in last week's video, we talked about Professor Onyx when that was previewed and how it could combo with Chain of Smog. And if you are trying to work that combo into, say, any number of mono black builds in Commander, you're going to want to see more cards, so that could be another reason this is going up in value. And it did show up in 2 different Command Zone podcast videos this week too. In one, it was in that Doran the Siege Tower deck I mentioned earlier, and it got a mention too in another video. The Plane Chase copy goes up $863 this week to $97.50. The Mystery Booster copy up $940 to $29.99. Conspiracy Take the Crown goes up $1075 to $29.95. Commander 2015 up $1145 to $34.99. Dual Decks Phyrexia versus the Coalition goes up $1844 to $37.98. 8th edition up $2101 to $40. Alright, you know how this works by now with Thrumming Stone. Whenever Wizards previews a card from an upcoming product that says you can have any number of copies of this card in your deck, Thrumming Stone spikes. This week, the list copy goes up $31.12 to $68.75, and the original Cold Snap copy goes up $31.23 to $71.20. So what's the card this time that's got everybody thinking about new Commander builds? It is Dragon's Approach. I have seen some early builds where players are trying to build in some ways to tutor for an artifact. They got Thrumming Stone in there, and then a whole bunch of these. Alright, our last 2 cards in this section are both original fetch lands from Onslaught. The first is Windswept Heath. It goes up $64.46 to $109.18. Now, if you watched last week's video, this isn't too shocking. We did see some of the ally fetch lands going up in value then. And much like last week, I'm only going to show you the 2 that are moving the most, but know that they are really all creeping up in value to some degree. That being said, the ones that have been spiking the most aggressively are the ally ones from Onslaught in this original card frame. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I do think there's more players thinking about picking up some of these older versions of cards because of the Time Spiral Remastered Time Shifted cards. When it comes to gameplay though, for fetch lands, of course, they see play pretty much wherever they are legal. This one in particular though could be getting an extra boost since it is in the Heliod Company and some other decks that are doing well in the new modern meta. This was also in the Kineos and Tyro Miletus build that we saw on the Command Zone podcast this week. And here's the second one. This is Wooded Foothills from Onslaught. This one is frequently found in Modern Jund Death Shadow, another high-performing deck in that new meta. It goes up $66.99 this week to $124.21. And that's going to take us to the Vintage Spotlight. Again this week when it comes to Unlimited, Arabian Nights, Antiquities, and Legends, we're only going to talk about cards that are moving at least $100 and at least 10%. The prices you're going to see on the screen are prices that have been calculated based on cards that have sold and cards that are for sale currently, especially if there's not many copies that have been sold in a while. They'll be very similar to what you might find on a price tracking website, but if actual sales don't match up with what we're seeing, I'll point that out. Here we go, our first reserve list card of the day. It's Intuition. You can tell that by the upper right hand corner. This is from Tempest. It goes up $23.05 to $237.49. This is found many times in Legacy, Sneak and Show, Omnitel, and more. Also, it's a very solid commander card. Mana Crypt is next. Mystery Booster up $664 this week to $152.99. Eternal Masters goes up $20.35 to $175. And that original media book promo goes up $51.78 to $349. This is a great vintage card and commander card. This was also in that Corvol Faker's King deck on the Command Zone podcast this week. Null Rod. Now this one looks a little inflated. It goes up $111.65 to $353.57. High grade copies are breaking $200, which is still a big increase. This can see legacy play in Delver builds and more. It's also found many times in vintage Golos stacks. Can get a little commander play too. Edwin Efreet. This goes up $136.85 to $250. That is actually pretty close. I have seen high grade raw copies selling for about $150. Graded copies for about $200. Stands to reason that next time we see a graded copy sell in high grade, it could hit this price point. Strip Mine from Antiquities. This is the Uneven Horizon variation that you see on the screen. It goes up 159.27 to 342 this week, or does it? Well, high-grade raw copies can hit about 115. Mishra's Factory, this is the autumn variant from Antiquities. It goes up 161.31 to 237.49. High-grade raw copies can break $100, but I don't see many selling right now. This price might be accurate for a graded copy at least. Next we have Aladdin, the original one from Arabian Nights, going up 188.49 to 245.48. Birds of Paradise, this sees play in multiple formats, Modern, Legacy, Commander. This was also in that Kervold Faker's King deck on the Command Zone podcast this week. 4th edition goes up 964 to 3101. Unlimited goes up 229.51 to 460.48. Illusionary Mask from Unlimited jumping up 247.60 this week to 539.99. Aladdin's Ring, the original from Arabian Nights, goes up 305.01 to $400. Now, high-grade copies can break $100. I haven't seen any high-grade graded copies sell recently, though, so I would assume they might go for a little bit closer to this price, but not quite $400. Plateau from Unlimited goes up $350 this week to $1,600, or does it? While high-grade raw copies can get close to $900. Not many graded copies have sold recently, but they do break 1,000 when they sell. Stands to reason, maybe next time one sells, it could be a little higher. Singing Tree, this actually got a Command Zone podcast mention this week too. It jumps up 453.03 to 842.49. The Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale, it goes up $625 to $6,925. This price is actually closer to a high-grade graded copy than to a raw copy, though. Same story here with Mishra's Workshop. You might pay this for a very high-grade graded copy, not necessarily for a high-grade raw copy. It goes up $850.01 this week to $5,499.99. Tropical Island from Unlimited, this one's a little inflated. It goes up $1,025 to $2,250. High-grade raw copies sell for about $1,200. Graded copies are about $1,900. Time Twister from Unlimited, another card that made it into the Command Zone this week. It goes up $1,555.33 to $10,368. One more dual land here. This is Underground Sea from Unlimited, up $2,499.01 to $4,498.96. Really? Well, high-grade raw copies can break $2,000. I haven't seen any graded ones sell at high grade recently, though. And finally, for this section, Library of Alexandria goes up $3,296.01 to $6,296. I did see high-grade graded copies at least get close to $4,700. Alright, maybe some cards we can afford. Welcome to the Commander Spotlight. Liliana Vest, this goes up $510 to $25, and this is the Dual Decks Anthology copy, only comes in foil, and it has seen some increased Commander play recently, and Turgid God of Fright and Asika God of the Tree, but I think what you're seeing here is this particular copy just dried up a little online this week. Wirewood Lodge, this is the Mystery Booster copy, up $514 to $1249. This has seen increased Commander play in Lathril Blade of the Elves. Sigil Tracer, this is going up $533 to $1349, and yes, this is a Morning Tide rare. I'm going to use my one per video. You know this already, you can probably say it along with me. During this time period in Magic, there was a recession in the game, less packs were cracked, so when players start paying attention to a rare that hasn't been reprinted from this time, they tend to get a little spiky, and that's what you're seeing here. So why is this one going up right now? Well, it is because of Strixhaven and Commander 2021 previews. First off, we have seen a lot of Wizards preview. I wouldn't necessarily call Strixhaven a Wizard tribal set, but we are getting a lot of powerful Wizards, so that could be part of the reason this is going up in value. Also, this could play very well with one of the key mechanics in the set, and that is Magecraft. Currently, though, this already does see a good amount of Commander play in Casa Royal Chaser decks and more. The original Carpet of Flowers from Urza's Saga is next. It goes up $535 to $29.94. This does get some Commander play in various builds, but I do think the recent changes in Legacy and that new meta are the main reason this is moving this much right now. This is a good sideboard card in that new Legacy, and you'll find this in builds like Food Chain, Miracles, and more. The Worldwide copy of Stoneforge Mystic goes up $545 this week to $47.99. This is in many Commander builds and has seen more play now in Cold the Forge Master decks. I do again think, though, the main reason this is moving this much right now is because of the changes to Modern and Legacy. You'll find this in both Modern and Legacy Death and Taxes and Stoneblade builds, for example. Well, maybe Sliver Queen is finally stabilizing. This, of course, is the Sliver Lord that's on the reserve list, moving up for the reasons that we discussed earlier. It goes up only $549 this week, though, to $599.99. Sylvan Tutor from Portal at 551 to 87.99. It is a tutor, you know it's going to see Commander play. Winter Orb, the copy from 5th edition, goes up 570 to 22.99. This has seen more play in Commander recently in those Yorn God of Winter builds. This also can show up in some Legacy Delver decks too. Sword of the Perunes, this is the copy from Commander Anthology. It goes up 578 to 14.99. I do think this is moving mostly because this particular copy dried up online a little bit this week. This is in a lot of decks like Yurlok of Scorched Thrash, Krenko Mob Boss, those are both very popular. It's in other decks in the format too, including new builds like Lathril Blade of the Elves. Michiko Kanda Truthseeker, this is a very solid Commander card in Queen Marchesa builds and more. It goes up 585 to 32.58. Diabolic Intent, this time we get the Plane Shift copy of the card, going up 590 to 42.97. Solid card in mono black builds in Commander, and many other builds too, like Corvolfe Cursed King, for example. It's really good there. Now, this could be moving up due to the recent preview of Professor Onyx, like we mentioned, that does combo with Chain of Smog. There could be Commander players trying to work that type of thing into a number of different builds. Also, it could be moving because some players could be thinking this might be good in a Pest build in the future as well. Here's another sliver. This is Essence Sliver, the one from Legions. It goes up 593 this week to 1168. Again, moving because of that recent reprinting of Sliver Legion. Infernal Tribute. Now that all these Strixhaven previews are so fresh in our head, this is another card that you might think about putting into a Pest build someday. This has seen additional Commander play recently though too as well in Tergrid God of Fright as well as Narfi Betrayer King. It goes up $6 to $18.99. Metalworker, sometimes you'll find this in Commander, Kozilek the Great Distortion builds, and more. It goes up 606 to 198.46. Root Sliver, yet another one. It goes up 614 to 1140 this week. Kindred Dominance, this goes up 621 to 43.02. Great Tribal Commander board sweep, seeing more play in Lathril Blade of the Elves now. This is another one I might consider putting in a new Pest deck. Green Sun Zenith, this is the copy from Eternal Masters. It goes up 626 this week to 31.99. And this has received more Commander play in Lathril Blade of the Elves, and it was already a very popular card in the format. But again, I think Legacy is moving this too. It does see more play in that new meta in Abzan midrange, Elves, and more. Bloom Tender, the copy from Mystery Booster, very popular Commander card, getting more play now in Asika God of the Tree. It goes up 626 to 39.99. Flusterstorm, the original copy from Commander, it goes up 666 to 24.62. There's a thought that this may be a card that you want to deal with Magecraft or new Storm strategies that could come out of the release of Strixhaven and Commander 2021. This also currently sees a lot of play in multiple formats, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. Snapcaster Mage, now this could get better when Magecraft comes out. The Innistrad copy goes up $536 to $60.53. Ultimate Masters goes up $671 to $62.97. Great Commander card, seeing more play now in new builds like Orvar the Allform and Vega the Watcher. And yes, I do think Modern and Legacy is playing a role here too. In Modern, this is in various control builds and more. Legacy, it's in Miracles and more there. Even see some Vintage play. Jet Medallion from Tempest. This is great in Mono Black or Black Heavy Commander builds. Again, we've been talking about how some players may want to focus in on those builds. This has also seen some increased Commander play recently because of Tergrid God of Fright. It goes up $675 to $67.70. Mage Slayer from Plane Chase. Now, this does see some Commander play, but I do think this is another situation where this particular copy of the card is drying up online a little this week. It goes up $708 to $20.50. Imperial Recruiter from Masters 25. This has seen more Commander play recently too because of some Keltime cards. You'll find this in builds like Bergi God of Storytelling, / Harnfell Horn of Bounty, as well as Magda Brazen Outlaw. This is found in some Legacy decks too. It goes up $713 to $40. No Mercy from Urza's Legacy. This is good in a lot of different Commander builds, actually. It goes up $713 to $69.50. Gilded Drake, another card you'll find in various builds in the Commander format, also can see play in Legacy Esper Vial. It goes up $713 to $449.65. Phyrexian Obliterator. This is the one from the list. It goes up $718 to $35.87. Another card you might find in a Mono Black Commander build, notice. This has gotten more play recently too in Tergrid God of Fright. Dark Depths is next. This is the copy from the list, and this was added with Keltime. It goes up $723 this week to $34.71. Very good Commander card, has been around more now in Yorn God of Winter builds. This also sees Legacy and a little Vintage play. Necropotence, the Ice Age copy at $518 to $70.25. the 5th edition copy up $7.50 to $59.99. This sees vintage play in Doomsday and more, but the reason we're talking about it here is because it is a great commander card too. Another one that would fit well into a mono black build. Notice this is another card getting additional play in commander because of Turgid God of Fright. And on top of all that, this did get a Command Zone podcast mention this week too. Auriok Champion, this is the original from 5th Dawn. It goes up $7.51 to $61.40. This does see some commander play, but I think Modern is pushing this one more than anything. You'll find this in some popular builds in that new meta. Heliod Company, Death and Taxes, Hammer Time, and more. Hatred, maybe this is another card that gets better in future Commander Pest decks. It goes up $7.52 to $69.99 this week. Currently, you'll find this a lot of times on Lisa's Shroud of the Dusk and other builds too. Patriarch's Bidding up $7.97 to $50. This does see play in some sliver decks in Commander. Also, it does show up in Lathril Blade of the Elves as well sometimes. Bitter Blossom from Ultimate Masters goes up $8.14 this week to $55.79. Okay, another very popular Commander card. It's in a lot of builds. Yes, including Turgid God of Fright. But I think Strixhaven Previews and Commander 2021 Previews could be moving this more than anything right now. This is another card I might consider putting in a Pest deck. Also, too, I am seeing this in a lot of early deck lists based around a card that was recently previewed. That's Exodus Auric Overlord / Awaken the Blood Avatar. On top of that, Bitter Blossom sees Modern and Legacy play too. Force of Negation up $8.42 to $83.50. Huge card in multiple formats, and it may be decent against Magecraft strategies in the future too. This is in Commander decks, Modern decks, Legacy, and Vintage decks. Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre from Rise of the Eldrazi, up $8.51 to $98.50, another powerful colorless creature here. And it is found many times in Commander, Kozilek the Great Distortion, and much more. Also got a Command Zone podcast mention this week. Lotus Veil goes up $8.52 to $78.92. This does see Commander play, but this could be a reserve list spec based on the recent Deserted Temple spikes. Consecrated Sphinx, this is the copy from Mirrodin Besieged. It goes up $8.75 to $58.98. Highly played Commander card in builds old and new, and it also got a Command Zone podcast mention this week. City of Brass for Modern Masters up $9.05 to $33.54. This does see some Modern and Legacy play, but it is a huge Commander card in many mana bases in the format. This was also in the Kineos and Tiro of Meletus deck on the Command Zone podcast this week. Luxury Suite from Battlebond. All these Battlebond lands are great in Commander. This one's going up $9.26 this week to $39.47. Treachery, this has seen increased Commander play in Orvar the Allform. It goes up $9.42 to $118.74. Pariah's Shield, this goes up $10.13 to $29.99. Remember, Time Spiral Remastered just reprinted Stuffy Doll, this card's partner in crime. Also, too, this is a good Commander card. You'll find this in builds like Jared Carthalion True Air, for example, and others. Fairy Artisans up $10.21 this week to $19.99. This is already in a lot of Commander builds like Brutaclad Telcor Engineer, for example. It was in a Ardent Intrepid Archaeologist / Threshios Trained Hero build on the Command Zone podcast this week. It was also in that Kineos and Tiro of Meletus deck too. Now, beyond all that, I think players are also thinking about picking this card up because of a Commander 2021 preview that we looked at last week. That was Adrix and Nev Twincasters. This could be a good upgrade for that deck, assuming this doesn't get reprinted there. Or if you build around that card from scratch, this could be a good option for you too. Phyrexian Altar. This is a great Commander card and combo enabler in a whole bunch of decks. It did get a boost recently from Turgid God of Fright, with Grave Pact, of course, being in most of those builds. This might be good in future Black-Green Pest decks as well, because you could have a lot of stuff to sacrifice. Ultimate Masters goes up $8.25 to $90.64. Invasion up $10.23 to $89.50. Doubling Season. Last week we had a lot of copies of this card spiking because of those previews from Strixhaven and Commander 2021. This week, just the original Ravnica City of Guilds copy is going up. It is up $10.39 though to $92.33. Like I said earlier in the video, we have seen a lot of preview cards that create tokens. There's also a fair amount of preview cards that give +1/+1 counters to creatures. So this definitely looks like a card that's going to be seeing even more play in the future if that's possible. It is already a huge Commander card. It's in a lot of new builds as well. Koma Cosmos Serpent, Vorinclex Monstrous Raider, a Second God of the Tree, Lathril Blade of the Elves, and more. Also, this was another card that was in that Kineos and Tiro of Meletus build on the Command Zone podcast this week. Mana Vortex, there's still a few cards from the Dark that are in the process of getting bought out, even when they're getting up to these high prices. This is one of them. It goes up 1055 to 7249. All right, I promised earlier that you would see copies of Coat of Arms going up. Well, here's 5 of them. Duels of the Planeswalkers up $5.60 to $30.24. Mystery Booster up $6.33 to $25. 9th edition up $7 to $29. Dual Decks Mind vs. Might goes up $8.78 to $28. And finally, Magic 2010 up $10.57 to $27.44. Craterhoof Behemoth, very popular commander card, seeing more play now in a variety of builds around Kaldheim cards. 2 that are the most frequent are Lathril Blade of the Elves and Vorinclex Monstrous Raider. This also sees play in Legacy Elves and did get a Command Zone podcast mention this week too. Modern Masters 2017 up $8.12 to $77.62. Avacyn Restored up $10.60 to $77.44. Sensei's Divining Top. This one's kind of interesting. You might not have noticed this right off the bat, but if you look at the Strixhaven previews, there's a lot of cards that are asking you to either look at cards on top of your library or reveal them. And I think some folks are starting to catch on to that, and Sensei's Divining Top is increasing in value this week. Beyond that, this is already a really big commander card. It's in Yuriko the Tiger Shadow builds and much more. Also gets vintage play. Champions of Kamigawa up $8.37 to $69. Eternal Masters up $10.66 to $74.61. Entomb. This is the premium deck series Graveborn copy, which is only in foil. It goes up $11.14 to $38.16. It's a highly played commander card in a lot of builds. Also sees legacy play in Reanimator. Again, though, I think this is a situation where this particular copy of the card is drawing up online this week. That's why it's jumping like this. Here's another medallion. This time it's Ruby Medallion. You'll find this in Krenko Mob Boss and much more in Commander. There's a lot of good mono-red commander builds that came out of Kaldheim too, like Toralf God of Fury / Toralf's Hammer, Bergi God of Storytelling, and Magda Brazen Outlaw. Commander Anthology Volume 2 goes up $6.45 to $42.99. Commander 2014 goes up $11.24 to $44.95. Force of Will, Double Masters up $8.08 to $120. Alliances up $11.86 to $149.48. Highly played Commander, Legacy, and Vintage card. Vedalken Orrery, the original from 5th Dawn. It goes up $12.56 to $63.72. Another card you've seen a lot of different Commander builds. Gets more play now in Yorn God of Winter. Ancient Tomb, this is the Tempest copy, up $12.84 to $72.86. Yet another card that shows up in a lot of places in Commander. Gets a lot of play in Legacy and even Vintage. This was also in that Corvolfe Chris King deck on the Command Zone podcast this week too. Exorcist, another card from the Dark jumping. It goes up $13.15 to $39.99. Concordant Crossroads from Chronicles, again on here, up $14.90 to $76.99. Sees a good amount of Commander play, and it is getting more play now in Lathril Blade of the Elves. Zephyr is next. It goes up $16.98 this week to $22.97. Meraxis of Kjell. Okay, this is something that sees a little Commander play maybe, but it looks like a reserve list buyout more than anything. Perhaps somebody speculating that this could be good with a newer card like perhaps Oscar the Constructor from Commander 2021. This goes up $17.85 to $25.88. Mana Vault. Last week we discussed how cheap mana rocks could be good with Oscar the Reconstructor. Well, here's a cheap mana rock that's really good even without Oscar the Reconstructor. 5th edition goes up $17.63 to $117.60. Ultimate Masters up $18.03 to $129.99. Obviously, this sees Vintage play and a lot of Commander play. Sliver Overlord, another one of these key slivers that could be your Commander or part of the 99. The Premium Deck Series Sliver copy, which is only in foil, goes up $26.08 to $95. The Scourge copy goes up $30.82 to $92.99. When it comes to actual sales, though, they're coming up a little short of this. Premium Deck Series copies are going for about $35 to $50. The Scourge copy can sell for $50 in high grade. Preacher, another card from the Dark, but I am seeing this show up in some early deck lists around a card we talked about a few moments ago, Exodus Auric Overlord. This goes up $38.61 this week to $166.81. Contamination up $40.51 to $91.99. This card has been hot because of Turgid God of Fright builds in Commander. Now there could be more people looking at it again because of Professor Onyx and the Chain of Smog combo. Stone Calendar, another one of these buyouts from the Dark, it looks like. It goes up $51.67 to $95.49. High-grade copies, though, currently are only selling for about $50. I mean, maybe this could be decent in some Commander builds with Magecraft, although for 5 mana, I'm not sold on that. Deserted Temple, this is our last card in this section today, and this is a great commander card, used many times to untap a land that can provide a lot of mana, like Cabal Coffers, for example. And because of that type of interaction, this has seen increased commander play in Turgid God of Fright builds. This goes up $55.98 to $135. High-grade sales, though, are only about $65 currently, but it does seem to be climbing quickly. We'll have to kind of see where this one lands. Alright, it is time again for that premium spotlight. There's a lot of premium cards moving again this week. There's a lot of market manipulation, though, out there, so be very careful if you're making any premium purchases. But let's see what we can talk about in our remaining time. Metalworker, this is the foil copy from Urza's Destiny. It goes up $15.77 to $915.72. Do these things really sell for that price, though? I have seen high-grade copies break 800, so that is pretty close, and I have not seen any graded copies sell. The first sliver, here's another one of these key slivers that can be your commander in a sliver build if you choose to make it that. The foil copy for Modern Horizons goes up $17.30 to $125. Wirewood Lodge, the only foil copy of this is from Onslaught. It goes up $22.96 to $49.95 in theory. I have seen high-grade copies selling for about $30 to $35, so that is close. Intuition, the Judge foil. Now this is going up $25.75 to $1,052.82. I would say that price is an average between high-grade graded and high-grade raw copies, though. Hex Drinker from Modern Horizons, the foil copy, it goes up $29.33 to $114.32. In reality, I have seen high-grade copies sell for around $90, but they appear to be climbing very quickly, so I would expect them to sell for this price soon. Here's another card that the price falls in between a high-grade raw copy and a high-grade graded copy. This is Deserted Temple. The foil copy from Odyssey goes up $60 to $499.99. Ren 6 is another card we haven't talked about yet in this video, so we'll discuss it a little bit. When it comes to the price, though, this foil copy for Modern Horizons is going up $167.98 to $499.96 in theory. Notice this is another Modern Horizons foil, too, by the way. In reality, high-grade copies are selling for about $350, so they are creeping up towards this price point, but they're not there yet. This is seeing more play now in that new Modern meta and 4-color control, Jund and more. Also, it can show up in a lot of different commander decks. You knew it had to be here. Thrumming Stone, the Cold Snap foil, it goes up $184.17 to $249.99 this week. In reality, high-grade raw copies were selling for around $60. I have not seen a graded copy sell for a while. The last ones were selling for around $100, and that was before the preview of Dragon's Approach. So I would expect next time they sell, they could get into this ballpark. Finally, one more Judge foil, Wheel of Fortune. It goes up $360.16 to $2,001.88.26. High-grade graded copies can get to this price point from time to time. It sees a little vintage play, and of course it's great in Commander. This is another card that people might want to enhance their Magecraft strategies in that format as well. Alright, that's going to do it for this episode of the Market Watch. A little slower this week compared to last week where we had to make the threshold $6. This week we went down to $5. I guess that's a good sign, but it's still a very, very active market. We'll see what next week brings, I suppose. Until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page, as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.